Hello, hello, and welcome to the launch video of the exclusive LEGO House Retail Model 2024. I am Gitte Kort and I work here at LEGO House as the brand manager. And it's my pleasure to host this video together with my lovely colleagues, Christian, Stuart, and Marcus. These guys have prepared something really nice for you all, and I can't wait to hand over to them to show more. What we have planned in is the following. Stuart, first of all, he will go through the previous limited edition LEGO House products, and then he'll do the reveal. It's exciting. Stuart will furthermore talk into why this product this year is so special to us, and also how he made the first concept sketches and share some of them. Afterwards, Marcus, he will talk about the development process and what it takes to turn this concept into a real LEGO set. At the very end, as the cherry on the top, Christian will go through the history related to the product and also show the building instruction that goes with the product. So, without further ado, take it away, Stuart.
Thank you, Gitte. So let me just quickly introduce myself. My name is Stuart Harris, and I am the LEGO House Master Builder. And ever since we opened the LEGO House, we felt it was important. Part of the guest experience of coming to LEGO House was the possibility to get hold of an exclusive set that we would sell in the LEGO House itself. Now, when we first launched the house, we actually had an architecture set, which is still in the assortment, showing the house itself. And then we started with some of the icons from LEGO House itself. So we had the LEGO House Tree of Creativity, and then we had the dinosaur set following year, which represent the three big dinosaurs in the Masterpiece Gallery. But having worked with those sets, we actually, in the background, we were planning a more sort of strategic approach to what the sets could be in the house. So not just sets focused on the house itself, but we actually thought this was a great opportunity to tell some stories about the LEGO Group itself, and of course of the amazing history of the LEGO Group. So that's what we decided to do, to incorporate that into the sets that we would launch each year from that point, from 2020. Actually, we started with the first set of this series in 2020, which was the wooden duck. The wooden duck, of course, representing how the LEGO Group started its journey with the wooden toys. Then, of course, it moved into plastic injection molding, and that's why we have the next set in the series, which was the brick molding machine. And then we had the third set, actually an interesting one, was this represented the first LEGO Group's master builder, which was a lady called Downey Holm. And Downey Holm is actually kind of did the forerunning of the job that I do today. So she was the first master builder, and I'm following in her footsteps. So we had a set created around the work that she's done for the LEGO Group. And of course, last year we launched a minifigure tribute, which of course our friend Captain Redbeard there in the set that we did last year. So we're actually now ready to show you this year's LEGO House exclusive set, which is under this box here, which I will now reveal to you by lifting this, and maybe Marcus, for you on standby to take the rather heavy box. So here we have the set called LEGO Building Systems, and this set is all about the different core building systems that we have in the LEGO Group, and it's an important part of the play promise and the play offering that we have. It's all about system in play, and what underpins that are the building systems that link to those different product groups that we have here. So actually, starting all the way back in the 1950s with the LEGO System brick, and then moving into the DUPLO brick, and then LEGO Technic brick, which actually sort of extended the play ages and the offering that we could offer different consumers. And my job is actually to develop the concept model, if you like. So I do like a sketch model that we use to evaluate, is this the right product that we can sell in the LEGO House and offer to our guests. So actually the first, I have an example. I have a copy of the sketch model that we did that I made. So we just move that one to one side. And it's here it is. And actually, this is the sketch model, the prototype. And you can see how the product has evolved over time. So I do the sketch model, which is this one. This just forms the brief that we hand over to my talented colleague Marcus, who then takes it through to a product which is ready for building and for play and lives up to all our quality standards. So when I start the process off, I looked at a number of different directions, but actually what I settled on was to actually make some mini builds which were sort of representing some of the iconic products from those different building systems. And I actually started with Town Plan in the middle here, based on the first sort of set that we had that really epitomized the system in play. And actually we have a Town Plan here, so I can actually see this Town Plan. This is one of the original Town Plans here. And what was great about this set was the unlimited sort of creativity it gave you, where you basically got a play mat, and then you could build your own town, your dream town or your hometown. And actually you could design all the buildings in it. We actually sold the buildings, but there was no one right town plan. It was just the way that you wanted to create that town plan. So how did you want to create your town? So this was really symbolized the open-ended creativity of the LEGO system. So for me, this was an important one to represent at a mini build scale. So going back to the prototype here, so starting with the town plan in the middle there, then it was time to think, okay, so how do we, if we take this principle of doing a mini build of these different kind of products, how do we represent DUPLO and the LEGO Technic systems with these mini builds? So I actually looked at, this wasn't the starting point. I actually started with, for DUPLO, I started working on a DUPLO farm. This was the first little prototype here was a DUPLO farm, which is very cute and very iconic for the DUPLO product range. But when I put it on the set, it was kind of conflicting a little bit scale-wise. It looked a bit odd next to Town Plan. Wasn't quite sure how that fitted together. So I actually decided one of the other sort of iconic sets is actually the DUPLO trains. We have DUPLO train play in LEGO House itself, so this was a natural fit to put into this set. So I actually built a DUPLO style train. It wasn't referencing any particular DUPLO train. It was just some kind of it sort of captured the tone of voice of the DUPLO train system. So that became the DUPLO one. And actually, I'd already built a small scale Technic tractor, the 851 Technic tractor from the 1970s. And so actually that thought that actually fits quite well into this arrangement. So this became the basis of the brief that I would then hand over to Marcus for him to develop, and then he would be in the driving seat, and then I would be the passenger on that journey and follow the development from that point on. So actually, you can see there is a little bit of difference from the sketch model to the final one. And actually, there's one other thing I would want to mention here. You'll actually see the back wall here. This was a kind of link to the LEGO house itself and the history collection. You can actually see behind me the history collection there. You can see the walls in the history collection. So this is a very sort of iconic way of representing the history collection there, and also a way for us to mount the different bricks, the different system bricks that we had in those different building systems. So this formed the basis, and then I would hand over to Marcus, and Marcus is the one that will tell you about what it takes to go from this to the final model. And this is normally the point in the presentation where Marcus would actually throw me under the bus, and with all the mistakes that I have to correct. So actually, Marcus, I have the bus for you to throw me under. So go nuts, sir.
That's so kind. I finally have a thing to use for this. No, actually, I have to say, Stuart, this year you've been very good. There was very little that I would call a headache with this model, and it was very fun to work on this. So I think I have to pass you the bus back for maybe next year.
I will pass it back to you then, yes.
So I come in when, well, first I should probably introduce myself. My name is Markus Robila. I'm a senior designer at the LEGO Group. And for the fourth time in a row, I had the pleasure to work with Stuart on the LEGO house model of this year. This LEGO building system product is a combination of how I remember LEGO growing up. You start with DUPLO, you build lots of houses with system bricks, and sooner or later you move to LEGO Technic. I then moved back to LEGO System, but that's a different story. But interesting enough, if we look at the prototype, as Stuart has highlighted, the DUPLO train is not a real DUPLO train, and that was something that kind of bugged me. Like I like to do it right, and so one of the first things that I did as part of this development was actually I took a deep dive into LEGO DUPLO trains, which is, I guess, something that you don't expect to nerd about. But Christian is very helpful with these things, and we have experts like him at the LEGO Group, and we have something called Google. So I looked at a lot of DUPLO trains, and I kept coming back to the super iconic DUPLO train, the very first one from the 1980s. And we actually have one here, and you will notice something that's quite different. Let me move these walls out of the way. Whereas Stuart's LEGO DUPLO train was very colorful, very toyetic, and felt very much at home in a kid's bedroom. The classic LEGO DUPLO train has these super iconic LEGO colors. It's blue, it's classic red, it's classic yellow, and it also fit very well with what the product was already having in a color scheme. So thankfully, Stuart agreed to my idea, and we actually switched the original sketch model train to the more iconic DUPLO train from the 1980s. Some of your DUPLO connoisseurs might notice that this train is actually a combination of the two original LEGO DUPLO trains. The original LEGO DUPLO train, one had a lorry or two lorries in it, and one was a passenger train. But we figured actually combining that would be more interesting, and so we ended up with the final arrangement. But of course, designing the DUPLO train was a bit different because whereas Stuart's had 4 wheels, this one has 6. And you might think that's an easy one to fix. But it actually led to a lot of development time spent on getting a right configuration for 6 wheels. So if I might trade this to you, Christian, to a collection of sketch models that I collected, just to show how this actually came together. So if we flip this over, you will see the Stuart's DUPLO train on the very right, and then multiple iterations on the wheel arrangement that leads all the way to the very left, where we actually have the final product. But if I flip this over, you will actually see that the undersides are very different. The initial DUPLO train that Stuart made is actually very easy to build. It's just a Technic plate that has LEGO Technic pins inside, and then you attach the wheels. It can't really be built flat, but that's something we can fix. But we actually had a massive challenge getting the 6 wheels attached because, as you can see, we tried everything. We tried anything from load the rings, the one ring, like we took 2 from Gollum and put them in here, and it was too complicated to build. We tried sideways building it with Technic pins on 318 bars. That didn't really feel right. It made for a very complicated build. We tried a new element that came out this year, which is a 2x2 plate that has a 318 bar on the other side. That made it slightly easier, but it was still a bit complicated. And I was also missing, and this is something maybe you can notice on the side, I was also missing the classic yellow axles. It's just like I wanted everything to be in that color scheme, right? So initially, I moved back to a sideways build of getting the carriage built, but this has actually led to another problem, and this is actually something that I think illustrates the design process quite nicely. So this is a DUPLO train that worked quite wonderfully. It had a hook on the back to hook on the trains. The wheels were spinning when you did this, but it was still complicated. It had an illegal build, and then of course it would break apart like this, which is something that we definitely don't want from a toy that you can play with. So interestingly enough, we just took a roundabout process and we ended up at the super simple way of building it that uses LEGO Technic bricks, 1x1s and 1x2s to build the base. And this is just an example of the design process. And I, of course, did that for every single model of these. But the Technic chassis on the LEGO DUPLO train was just a very interesting way of getting all these things combined, I guess, into one model. But let's talk about the second model that's part of this, and that's the town plan. Can I trade this for a town plan, Christian, please?
You can.
An interesting challenge with this model was that Stuart had made a very dense, very wide, very big model. And part of the development process is also to actually break that down into bite-sized chunks so that we can actually showcase it in the building instructions. You don't want something that's super big to fold open, but also something that you can actually build at home and maybe even share with your family. So we wanted to break it down into these smaller segments. So one of these segments is the town plan. And what was very important to me, I actually grew up with this. I had a bunch of these components growing up. Like I had the trees passed down from my mom. So it was very important to me to get that look correctly. But also what was important to me to get kind of that play into this product that the original town plan had, which was you would start with the town plan, with the base. And similar to this, you actually do with this product. You start building the town plan in these small chunks, in these 6x6, 6x8 chunks that you would then add together to this bigger surface area. And then in a second bag, the follow-up bag, you actually build all the buildings and cars to then accessorize the town plan. So you actually bring this town to life very much like you would have in the 1960s to then basically make your own town. And I was just very happy with these little espresso plates as trees because that just fits so perfectly in the scale. It's very fun to make these tiny models, and once you get to the vehicles, it just comes to life, and I was very pleased with this. But that also leaves one last model to talk about, which is the Technic car chassis. So how did we arrive on that? Well, Stuart already pointed out the tractor, and the tractor to me felt a bit too abstract. I didn't grow up with the classic Technic from the 1970s, 80s. I'm a bit too young for that. So for me, I actually looked at a supercar that I grew up with, and that is the black supercar from the 1990s. Because as a little kid, for some reason, my dad bought LEGO Technic, and he always had that awesome LEGO Technic car on the top shelf that little Marcus was just not able to reach and also not allowed to. So when I was asked to come up with another suggestion, what could replace the tractor, this was the first thing that came to mind. But of course, as you can see, this is way too small for this platform. And then I thought back to a model that Stuart had built, which is a bigger version of the car chassis. So let me trade this up to a car chassis. So to go back in time, we actually started looking again at this classic car chassis from 1977, which is the first LEGO Technic car that has everything included. It has a working engine. It has seats that you can tilt with a steering wheel. And I mean, it's just a super cool first iteration of what would later become this amazing system of LEGO Technic bricks where you could make functions and everything. So, but we also figured that, I mean, if you put this in front of the model, it is massive. It is amazing, but it is very big. So I had to kind of figure out how to break this down and how to make it smaller. And this is how we arrived at the car chassis that is in the product. Let me put those next together, and you actually find that they're very similar in detail, but they are very different sizes. And also an interesting challenge with this one, I wanted to kind of increase how much it looked like LEGO Technic. Stuart's version was very much studs up, a regular Lego build, like we know it. But I wanted to kind of like what for me LEGO Technic was growing up. It was these 1x-something bricks with hollow studs on the top. There was no LEGO logo. It was just hollow things that you could put stuff inside. So I actually decided to flip over the car chassis, build it upside down to actually get these tubes on the top of the car. And that caused a bit of a ruckus in Innovation House because we don't usually build upside down, but I had a super talented building instruction developer in Martin, and he figured out how to actually show this in a very easy way. And it is a very satisfying build. And then once you've actually finished that, it just plops back onto the model. And I also made it removable, so should you choose to play with it, this is a very fun and easy way to take off the model. So that was a very quick design process overview before I head over to Christian, I guess. So let's put this model back.
Marcus, isn't there one more thing?
Oh, yes. How could I forget? Let me just clean the table first so we can actually focus on that.
Yes.
There's indeed one more thing. We are, as Stuart mentioned, in the history collection, which you can see behind us. And to me, the history collection was never just a gray wall of just like info plaques and stuff. What I love about the history collection in LEGO House is all the awesome LEGO models that you could just you could go back into this trip down memory lane and see what you didn't get as a child or what you got for Christmas in 1990 something. And I kind of wanted to capture this. So actually, if you turn them all around, we managed to hide a complete timeline from the very first wooden toys all the way to today. I think the latest one is LEGO Friends. And that was a very fun way, at least for me, to pay tribute to this rich history that the LEGO company has. On the very right side, we start, of course, with the wooden duck. You could not have the wooden duck. It's just so iconic. Below that, we have one of the first wooden fire trucks. And that was a nice nod to last year's LEGO Inside Tour set. I originally had a blue wooden truck, very non-descriptive, and then Stuart with a wink in his face, was like, you should put a fire truck in there. And I didn't know it was the inside tour set. So when it was revealed, I was like, oh, you sly steward. So that was very fun. Of course, we need to have a reference to the automatic binding bricks. That's the little red, green, and white house, which is the very first set of the classic of the Lego brick in a form that we know. We have another truck for the town plan, and then if you move one over, we have one of the first Lego train sets. I actually had that one growing up because my mom kept all her old Lego with the classic blue trains. Loved that, so it had to go in here. It's a classic Lego timelines, needs a Lego classic castle, the yellow castle. And below that we have the first DUPLO bricks represented, because we wanted to make sure that all the 3 building systems are represented equally. Next to which you will find one of the first LEGO Technic sets, which is a forklift. Then you have, of course, the classic Space Galaxy Explorer. How could we forget that? And once you move over, we have the DUPLO train that you might recognize from the front. We have the Black Seas Barracuda, a nice little nod to last year's Captain Redbeard. Then we have in the bottom a classic DUPLO set. You might remember the forum that Stuart showed you. That's that, just very, very tiny. A product for me growing up that I always wanted, never got, was the super amazing LEGO Technic Space Shuttle. Had like fiber optics, all these awesome features. So that was for me that LEGO Technic set of the 90s. And then next to it, you can find a little callback to Mindstorms, that system LEGO introduced in the late 90s that you could program, and that spawned like a whole community of adults like doing really cool stuff with Mindstorms. And then this is called the LEGO Building Systems, and I just didn't want to stop at 3, so I actually snuck in a 4th one. This has a little tribute to Bionicle. This is Tau with his canister, and that super popular LEGO theme of the early 2000s. Still so much love for this theme 20-something years later, so it had to be in. Ninjago, of course, can't be forgotten as like such an important theme of storytelling. So we have the Temple of Ijitsu, next to which we have the LEGO Ideas Treehouse. It was very important to me to also highlight the connection to the AFO community that the LEGO Group has, and what better to use than a super iconic LEGO Ideas product, where we design products together in collaboration with the fans. In the bottom we have a LEGO Technic crane. The 2000s were super full of the iconic yellow Technic vehicles, construction vehicles, so it had to be a LEGO type crane. And then finally we have Emma's House from LEGO Friends, which is one of the first Friends products we made in 2012. And it was just a nice way of getting the whole history, whole rich history of the LEGO group together. And it was very interesting when I developed these, because I also developed last year's LEGO employee gift, the one that you would get for Christmas. And some of you may know, last year's LEGO employee gift was an advent calendar that chronicled the history of the LEGO group. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? So I was actually like in that weird position to design this twice, but also very differently. So I actually brought a few comparisons. If you would hand me the Yellow Castle and actually those 3 classic sets that you see on the left. Yes. Because I actually found it very interesting to see how different the executions would be. We have, of course, the Black Seas Barracuda, we have the Yellow Castle, and we have multiple iterations on the Galaxy Explorer. And I found that designing the same thing for 2 very different target groups, if I may call that, or for 2 very different products, brought very different challenges. When I designed the Black Seas Barracuda, the left one is a bit more detailed, it has a bit more bits, it's a bit harder to handle, versus the right one is very easy to build, very solid, easy to play with. The same kind of is true for the Yellow Castle, where because of the boxes that the advent calendar had, it allowed us to put a bit more detail in there. It's a bit bigger. The footprint on the Yellow Castle that we fit into the history collection is very tiny because it has to fit in that shelf. So that we had to compress the castle, which was kind of hard. And then finally, the Galaxy Explorer. I'm very happy with the one we made for the Christmas gift, but we actually had to shrink it down even more, and it's very difficult to capture the shape correctly. So I made multiple versions, as you can see, with multiple parts usages. There is a ring club there, there's a cheese slope, like various different elements just to capture the shape. We ended up taking this one, I think, and it's just a very interesting way of looking at it. You might ask yourself, there is an empty spot next to Emma's house. And we actually wanted to leave it a spot for you. We all have that one special LEGO set that we grew up with. that has a very meaningful place in our hearts. And as such, there is one empty space that you can fill with a micro model of your own. But of course, it would be a bit unfair if we didn't also suggest something. So I actually prepared a couple of models. Christian, if you the one on the very left. So I actually thought back and looked at a few products that actually meant a lot to me. So here's a collection of fun ideas that you can put in that place, or that I will put in that place. You have the very first LEGO Ideas product, the Shinkai submarine. You have an awesome train from the 2010s, the Emerald Knight. Then the very first modular building, the Cafe Corner, a train product that was designed together with fans in the early 2000s. And finally, the one that I would pick probably is Leo's Castle from the very first Knight's Kingdom wave, because that was the Lego castle that I grew up with. And so it was very important to me that you can personalize it for you. And then actually, this will just fit perfectly down here next to Emma's house. But we would like to encourage you to build your own ones and to make it very much your own. And I think with that, I will hand it over to Christian, who will tell you all about the history of the LEGO building systems.
Thank you, Marcus. Yes, hello, my name is Christian. I'm a corporate historian at the LEGO Group. So I've been asked to make a run-through of these 3 core building systems, also known as platforms. Because, as you have already seen, they are sort of linked to the product we are looking at. And if you sort of can't see it, this is one happy historian, because, we've already heard about all of the history that has been crammed into this product, and that is just fantastic for a LEGO historian like me. But let's sort of run through these different core building systems. So we start actually on a ferry in 1954, a ferry back from England, where second-generation owner Godfred Kirk Christiansen, who had attended a toy fair over in England, he gets into a conversation on the ferry with a man called Troels Petersen, who was working for a Danish department store. He was the toy buyer from a Danish department store. And Troels, he was complaining about the toy market in general, because, as he said, there is no system in anything. It's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I struggle making beautiful window displays in my department store because the scales are different and nothing fits together. There's simply just not a system in toys. And that was sort of what ignited Godfred's sort of mind, and it was the spark that Godfred needed to eventually come up with the LEGO system in play idea. That idea of wanting to create a system of toys, wanting to create toys that always fit together, no matter when or where they are produced. And he sort of looked through all of the different products we had in our portfolio at that time, and we had a lot. Godfred was looking at 133 wooden toys and 132 plastic toys, sort of lined up, looking at them, trying to see, can I make a system out of some of these? The one product that sort of popped up and was the one he decided we can sort of use this to create this LEGO system in play, was a plastic brick that we had introduced all the way back in the late 40s, known as the automatic binding brick. In the mid-50s, this is a brick that is called LEGO Mursten. And I have one right here. I'll just put this to the side a little bit. So just want to show you this brick, of course. It looks like the bricks we know today, but of course, the big difference is if I do like this. We all see the issue here. So this is a hollow brick, and that's how our bricks started, our plastic bricks. They were hollow. But this is the product that Godfred sort of creates and starts his Lego system in play idea around, and that is introduced in the town plan that we have heard Stuart and Marcus talk about already. But there was one problem with the early town plans and the early brick, and that is, of course, the hollowness of it. This makes it not that stable when you start to put them together. So Godfred felt he had this fantastic idea, but he didn't really have the right product to make that idea come to life. So the game changer and what starts all of this, the first sort of core building system, and what from then on would be at the very center of the town plan, was the Lego brick that we know today, introduced in 1958. So with this brick, Godfred, he got this fantastic stability that he needed to make this Lego system in play idea come to life. And again, that's how it starts. That's the original core building system, the first one. So after sort of consolidating the first building system, we want to lengthen the time in children's life where they can play with the Lego system in play. We want to cater younger children, so we want to try and see if we can make a larger brick for that sort of suits younger children's motor skills. So we look at a lot of different bigger bricks to add to the Lego system in play. So a few of them I can mention. We look at a very large brick that is 4:1 in scale on all dimensions. So a quite large brick. It's actually a brick that many years later on is actually introduced for a few years, and you would know it as Lego Quattro. We also see in the 60s, we see some big bricks on the North American market being introduced, known as jumbo bricks. These bricks do not sort of have anything to do with the original Lego brick in size or anything like that, but they are quite big and easy for preschool children to play with. We actually sort of make a European version as well, and I actually have some over here. And this is a great example of the fact that we don't receive all of the products we receive in our product archive. They're not all in mint condition, as you can see. So these, at first glance, I'm sure many of you would sort of say that's jumbo bricks. That's the American jumbo bricks, but it is actually not. They are very similar, but they are different in size and scale. So these are actually made in the scale of 3:1 on all dimensions compared to a Lego brick, and they are very, very cool if you ask me. I'm a sucker for these old products, but I will let go of this again, and because of course the one we decide to go with is of course the one on top here, the DUPLO, the DUPLO brick. So we go with this brick in the scale of 2:1 on all dimensions, and I just put some blue Lego bricks underneath it to sort of show the scale compared to the original Lego brick. So this is a brick that fits the Lego system in play, as we can obviously see. So the name DUPLO comes from the Latin word for double or twofold, which is duplex. So that's why we decide to call this brick the DUPLO brick. So that's the second core building system. And then, of course, we have a third one. That's of course the LEGO Technic building system, as we have seen, and we have the beautiful car chassis here. So it's basically the same as with the DUPLO building system, that we again want to extend the time in your life where you play with the LEGO system in play, and we want to cater older people, older children, and we want to make something that is sort of more challenging for you to build. Also, maybe something that has a bit more functions and more movability, and that ends up being the Technic products. And the first technical sets are released in 1977. And again, they have this focus on realistic and technical building. Again, the car chassis is a very, very good example of that. And well, we actually have the original car chassis here, so we can just very quickly take a look. And so, as you can see, this is the starting point for this beauty down here. But again, we have the seats that can move. I don't know if you can see; it's tricky. We can maybe use from that side, and we actually also have some pistons in the motor that can actually move. So again, a great example. And this car chassis right here is also really a nod to the Technic supercars you see today. This is where it all starts. So again, that's the third of these core building systems that is just the very essence of and encapsulates this LEGO system in play idea that we have had since the 50s. With that, I want to show you, just as Marcus he talked a little bit about one of the other building systems, because these are the three core ones, but we have actually had others as well. And the first one, and again we have a model here, so we can just take a look. So maybe you can recognize this from the back of the model. So this is of course one of the original Bionicle characters, this Tahu, introduced in 2001, and this is one of the other building systems that we have had. So it sort of goes under the name construction, constructible action, and has many fans out there, as I'm pretty sure we have one right here. So that's one, and then I have another one I want to show you, and yes, the tiny ones, because just want to put these there for a second. So these are Modulex bricks. This is some, as you can see, very small bricks. So I usually say that this is what happens if you wash your Lego bricks on a hot cycle. They will shrink into these little Modulex bricks that you see right here, and you can see many it resembles the Lego brick very much. But it is not compatible with the LEGO system in play. But it is an interesting building system nonetheless. It's something we introduced in 1963, and it's sort of a product that we make it to. It's sort of intended for professionals within design, architecture, and construction, and it's one stud. A one stud brick is actually 5 millimeters on all dimensions, so half a centimeter on all dimensions, because then it sort of complied with international building module standards, So that would add up to 10 centimeters when building in a 1 to 20 scale. And that is also one of the reasons why that these are also known as M20. Of course, M for Modulex. So this never really catches on. And a few years later, the Modulex sort of satellite company that we had set up starts to look into more of industrial planning and making planning boards and stuff like that instead of the original intention. But again, very interesting little system. So that was sort of what I had to tell you today. So all of the things that I've been talking about, I have actually put in the building instructions. I've written a section of the building instruction for the set, and you will actually be able to find these information and many more in this building instruction. And I can just sort of flip one of the pages so you can take a sneak peek at that. So make sure to check that out when you have your set. With that, I will introduce Gitte again to sort of wrap up this session.
Thanks a lot, guys. This was massively impressive. I really loved all the details and the processes and the thoughts behind. And I can't wait to get my hands into this product and build it myself. We really hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you in LEGO House one day. But for now, I think we'll do a bye together. Are you ready, guys?
Yeah.
Bye-bye.